Hello guys, and welcome to the long-awaited Tretogor Province World Tour. Today, I want to take you through the entire world, trying to hit as many of the builds as I can. Most of them are builds that you will have already seen scattered around, but some of them are never before seen. So I'm going to flash up a picture right now of what the world map looks like. And here's a version showing the roadmap that I'm going to try to follow so that we can hit all of the biggest hits, as it were. So without further ado, let's get into it and start at the capital, Newport. Starting at this little crossroads here, we're between Madinah, Marshcastle, and Newport. And I will do a little bit of flying around, just to give you guys a better idea of the scale of the place, but I'll try to stick to the ground when I can. So, for longtime viewers of the channel, you'll know that we already did Newport in the Old World Tour. But the Old World Tour is getting really outdated, especially because I've been adding on to some of our builds. For instance, Newport isn't just a city in the forest anymore, we actually have some farms out here now. So I've added in 4 farms out of the front, which isn't quite enough to feed the city. But it adds to the feeling of kind of building up the density before you get there. Newport is kind of my baby in this world, like it is the one that I hold in my heart the most. That's odd. Hold on. Yeah, Newport is the capital. It's not the biggest city anymore, but when I built it, it was, and I love how rich and vibrant all the colors in this place are. One of the big things about Newport is, of course, the port itself. So if we come out here, we can see that there is like a big shipyard full of ships. And you can see I'm recording this around Christmas time because we have all of our chests decorated like presents. But if we come down into the sewers, and I hope it's not too dark here. Sorry, I had to pause there to give us some night vision, which is going to kind of ruin the vibes down here, but I don't have Optifine, so the old torch trick doesn't work anymore. But underneath Newport is this sewer system that lines up with the roads. And previously, the sewers just stopped here, but in the new update, we can get to the sub-level. So, I have not shown this off anywhere except for the Discord. Shout out to the Discord if you guys want to join. This is kind of built around the idea of the metro system in like the game Metro, and of other kind of subterranean civilization kind of vibes, I suppose. I wanted to use a lot of the new pale moss blocks, so it's under the sewers, and it was kind of the model that the Newport people based their sewer off of. So I'm going to take you through some of the rooms. This one is the treasury. You can see that somebody has broken in here. One of the cool things about this place is I wanted to use glass to look like a weird wall. Whoops. Looks like our night vision is failing us. I really wanted to build something weird in the world after finishing Riegensberg. So this whole place under Newport is really unlike anything else in the whole world, basically. We have the sanctuary, and this is based off of like a cathedral, except that here the color is purple, and we have this big kind of bright purple room leading all the way down. This world, especially this part, looks better with shaders, but I don't want to put any for this because I want it to be really clear and visible what I'm showing off to you guys. But when you guys get the world download, you can choose whatever shaders you want. I recommend for this place, someplace with some shaders with ray tracing. But if we come through here and scurry on back, we can get to the entry. So this is one of the places that takes a lot of inspiration from like a kind of a metro tunnel. We have a rail line on the side. You can see that there's a collapsed tunnel here that goes to the assembly. And then there's another tunnel over here that leads into the hydroponics lab. And this is the green room. So we had a black room, a purple room, and now we're into green. I wanted to make it look like we have all these little plants growing out of these hydroponic pots. And there's like a big metal chest here. Getting a lot of lag, not sure why. If we come back here, we get to one of the places I really like, which is that this area here has the chest with the fungus growing out of it. I think that looks really cool. And yeah, there's a collapsed tunnel here that leads to more hydroponics labs. But I've started thinking a lot about the food in this world, and I liked the idea that the people in this kind of advanced civilization were growing things underground. But if we make our way to the exit, we can get to this place. Let's see if we can even get up. Who's to say? But if we climb to the top here, you can see that there's some roots breaking in and stuff. Whoop. Ta-da, we are out, and it is a pretty innocuous little place. You can see we're just outside the city limits, and if we follow this through here, going through this little trail here, this is mostly used by bandits because there's a little bandit cave underneath the castle, but we're not going to venture too far into there. If we continue along the floor of this kind of dried up riverbed, we can get to the front of the castle. Here we go. So going up these wooden stairs, we can now get into Marshcastle proper. So the whole idea behind Marshcastle is that it's like a castle itself, kind of a small tower surrounded by all the things that they would need to keep going. So there's a little church, there's a warehouse, stables, there's a general store, and a little tailor to make, say, like suits for the uniform, suits and uniforms for the soldiers, and all that good stuff. But if we come through here, we can get our way up to the castle proper. Marshcastle was the first place I built in this world, and I actually abandoned Marshcastle for like 5 months or something before I came back to it when 1.17 came out, because I wanted to come back through and play with the new blocks. I wanted to add candles and stuff and deep slate. But if we come through here, we have a pretty simple great hall. These candles are actually on, I just have particles reduced because lag is a hell of a thing. That takes us down to the kitchens. But if we want to go up to the living quarters, we can come up to this side. There's a big old bed here, a closet for some linens. Here we have a nice little reading area. That's a secret, so if you guys come into the world yourselves, you'll know what that means. Here we have a little place to shoot people who come inside, because sometimes you don't like your guests. Such is life. Coming up here, though, there's like a little area for the guards. There's a small prison cell. And then we get to the balcony. And I love putting balconies in my build because when I'm using creative mode, I can just fly off into the sunset. If we continue along with our journey, though, I'm going to take us down back through spawn and across this bridge here. Going to make sure to put chapters throughout this video because it's important to me that you guys can skip the parts you don't like. This is going to be kind of a long video compared to most of what I do. But there is a carriage here. And if we come into this kind of swampy area, you'll see that there is some weird mushroom stuff going on. That is the Agaric Shrine. And it's kind of just like a weird kind of pagan shrine based around mushrooms and worship of that kind of thing. In one of the other builds over there, Gedym, there's an archaeologist who is currently doing some ethnographic research on the Agaric Shrine and the practices there. But if we come to this place, this is Madinah, our big desert city, and until recently, our only desert city until I built Bexall. So let's come inside. The whole deal with Madinah is pottery. If you guys remember how the Minecraft updates went, we were supposed to get pottery like a few years ago. So I built this whole place around pots and pottery and this whole idea and this whole vibe of everyone making pots in Madinah. And then they scrapped it from the update. So what you will find across Madinah, if I can get one, here we go, are these kind of homemade pots. So these are the real pots, and these are the ones that I was making. And now there's kind of a mix of the two, because I wanted to keep the old legacy pots as just as a little show of you know, what this world was and kind of the way we went through the updates. But Madinah's really cool. It has all of these apartment blocks throughout it for a lot of the poor workers. And if we come outside the city limits, on this side, we can follow this aqueduct to the lake. So here we have the big chain and pulley system. Basically, this water wheel turns, and it turns this pulley system that brings water into the city. If we follow this little river, though, we can get to the other side of the outskirts, and that is where all the potters live. So we have places where they're currently digging up the riverbeds to get clay for pottery. I want to also show that I came in here like 1 week ago, and I added a new building complex here. So here we have the dye works. Madinah has all these colorful tarps and stuff, like those orange ones with the pots on them. So I wanted to come in here and kind of based off of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, or Origins rather, I decided to make all these dye pits. You can see there's a yellow one, purple, red, and this was a blue one that's no longer in use. If we follow our way out of the city, though, we can get to the Temple of Fertility and the Tomb of Kings. And to do that, we have to pass through the dragon skeleton. So I built this one a while ago. I wanted something to put in the desert, so we can pass through a giant dragon skeleton. I think it's fun. This was just an old desert temple that I converted into a more interesting temple. Similarly, Madinah was actually a plains village that I converted into a town. It was supposed to look like a normal village, but I kind of went overboard and now it looks like Madinah. But if we come in here, we have a cool little temple with prayer mats for people to pray. And if we come along to here, we can get up to the Tomb of Kings. So this is where people come, this is where important people come to be buried if they live in Madinah. They can come through here all the way down, and I still have night vision on for a few minutes, so this is usually a bit darker, but that's okay. But I came in here and I put in some spells from the Egyptian Book of the Dead, so you can pause if you want to read. But this is essentially to protect the people who are buried here. And we have some pots and stuff, a lot of grave goods. And at the front, we have this big main sarcophagus. But if we follow that stone here, that will tell us that we can get all the way to Bexall. So we now get to the port of Bexall, which technically has the flag of Palau. If anybody in my chat is from Palau, let me know in the comments and we can sort out the beef. But otherwise, I don't think anyone's going to have a problem with it. So coming in through here, we go by the oasis and we enter on this side of town. On our left, we have the salt flats, basically. So here is where they are taking sea salt and they are drying it out to get these big piles and stuff. We have some kind of small farms on the side. And as we come into the center of the village, we can pass by all these little houses. I built Bexall way later than Madinah, so it's kind of an evolution of that style, trying to be more colorful, more vibrant, use more whites and use more reds and stuff. And Madinah is very tan colored, so I wanted to expand my palette with this. And as we come into the center of town here, we can see that there is this kind of mosque structure with a couple of gendered prayer rooms and places to put our shoes. There's also a pottery merchant, and here we have our kiln. So this is where they're making all the pottery. I love the way Madinah looks from the sky because we have all these kind of colorful areas and roofs and stuff. And down here, we have more kind of subsistence farming areas. So we have melons and sugarcane and stuff. If we follow our way out of here though, I want to not cut this part of the video so that you guys can see. So following from Bexall, if we go to this ship and then we keep going just a little bit further, we are going to get to New Gedym. The whole vibe with New Gedym is that it's like a really rich town in theory, but there's only like 12 people who live there because I was feeling really inspired by Pokemon. And I don't know if you've ever played an old Pokemon game, but there's only like 6 people in every town. I'm using a texture pack that makes stained glass look a bit more opaque, so the windows are a little bit blacker than I intended for this part of the build, but that's okay. But coming down here, we get to the port of New Gedym. There's an inn. I wanted to go really colorful for this whole place. So you'll see that basically everywhere has a lot of really colorful patterns and wools and stuff like that. And up there in the center of town, there's a huge custom cherry tree. There is a music shop down here. And this is the archaeologist's house that I was telling you guys about. So this is Professor Birch's house. Again, inspired by Pokemon like Professor Birch and Professor Oak and stuff. So we have all our kind of knickknacks, and on the floor we have an axolotl, which I think is cool. It's the only axolotl in the world, like officially. The center of town is this bank, so this is the Golden Bank of New Gedym. It's a pretty small place, and I built a much bigger and more ostentatious version of this in Riegensberg, so I don't want to linger too long here. What we're going to do is we're going to skip down across the coast. This summer, I watched a lot of Pirates of the Caribbean with my girlfriend. We marathoned all 5 movies. So I built a little black pearl here. Basically just a ship made out of nether brick and dark oak. And if you come into this little cove here, do I still have night vision? No. Okay, so it's going to be a little bit dark, but it shouldn't be too bad. We have a pirate cove. So this is where the pirates hang out. Big pirate banner, pirate bar to drink ale and grog and whatever, and dynamite. Because, you know, pirates be getting up to some devious stuff. If we skip further along the coast, though, I'll get you guys to the Rosewood Port. This is the end portal in my world. So I showed you guys there is a nether portal under Newport, and if you ever want to get to the end in survival, that's the way to go. But skipping down along the coast here, we get to the Rosewood Port, and this is a recently abandoned place. I've covered this place like 3 times before, so I won't go too into it. Basically, the church burnt down a while ago, and everyone kind of just slowly gave up on the town because it was kind of more of a colony than like a place that grew up from like an indigenous population. So the people eventually just said screw it and they left, because, you know, that's just what happens sometimes. You can think of like Roanoke colony in the US where the people just kind of left one day. That's what people be doing. But here we have the ruined tower that used to serve as the center of government in the town. If we come back through here, we can go past this little border post. So here we see somebody taking a bunch of wheat and beets and stuff and wine out away from the town of Sarneville. We are now getting into the Sarneville lands, so we have a border post here and farms. So like Newport, I came back in here recently and I added a bunch of farms. But if we come through here, we see that we're using the pale oak. That's what that is over there. Because we are in 1.21.4. There are a couple of sheep who I froze with no AI because they were driving me insane. And if we skip along here, we can get into the city. Sarneville is based off of Mont Saint-Michel, which I had the chance to visit a couple years ago in 2022. And I was really stricken by the place and by a lot of the really nice vibes. Like a lot of the old buildings had these dark kind of like wooden tiled roofs with moss growing on them. So I decided that the vibe for Sarneville would be dark oak roofs with moss growing on them. This whole place is paved, and there's a clock here in the middle. We have our main street with a little chapel here. Take you guys down Main Street real quick. So we have a barber surgeon, a little pastry shop. This is a tavern and inn. We have here an art gallery and a bookstore. There's a blacksmith and a couple other shops here. And if we pass through, I'll kind of wind us down here through the alleys. So that's kind of a garden for the church, but if we squeeze through here, we can go around the backs of these houses and slowly build up to the abbey itself. It is under construction for repairs, because when I went, I saw a bunch of scaffolding and they were repairing some stuff. So I really put a lot of my personal experience into this place, and it's one of the things I really like about Sarneville is that it represents something that I actually went and I got the chance to go see. But we have our little garden here for the monks and stuff to write. This is what we saw earlier, that place with the beetroots. We have our kitchens, and if we step up here, we have our place where the monks sleep and where they live. Sarneville is a big pilgrimage site, so there's a lot of like statues and stuff, and a lot of people come here. So the way that the economy works is a lot of, say, charitable donations. But this is the Church of the Martyrs. If we come in here, it's pretty stark and white, except for this lovely frescoed ceiling and big stained glass rose window. I find this place looks really cool. We have our big chandeliers that are we can lower to relight the candles. And up here we have our altar. This door leads back into the monks area. And there's something I want to show you guys. So if we go through here and... Okay, it's going to get dark for like 1 second. But if we come back down, we can get to an ossuary. So this is where the bones are for the people who die in Sarneville. This leads back up to the gardens, and then if we come down here, this is a secret exit for the town. And there was a ravine here when I built this place, so people can come out of the side of the city. And that's going to do it for Sarneville. So our next stop is Anchorage. And like I said, I don't want to cut too much because I want it to be more obvious where everything is in this world. But if we follow this desert road out here, it will lead us through this archway and past this Viking house. This is the first thing I built when we got the tough slabs and stuff, so that's why that exists. But coming into here, we get to a crossroads. That'll take us to Riegensberg eventually, but saving that for basically the end. But if we follow this path, we get to Anchorage. It is kind of Viking-y, but it's one of the places in the world that really has a lower standard of living. So a lot of the people here live in pretty simple houses. If I pop into one, it's so funny seeing the presence here. Like it completely changes the vibe. I didn't think about it when I was recording, when I was setting up to record, that this would be a Christmas video, but here we are. Yeah, so you can see that it's a pretty simple place. There's only one shop in the whole town, and it is a general store. And even then, compared to the general stores in other towns, it's pretty simple. Not much going on. The kind of keystone piece of the town, though, is this little castle. And I want to briefly mention, anytime you see those bright yellow banners, that is the Newport Merchants Guild. So I didn't show it off in town, but in Newport, there's a big Merchants Guild Hall. And the Merchants Guild is like really a big part of this world. So they have a presence in Anchorage, in Riegensberg, Newport, and Bexall, which we already saw. This is a pretty simple place. Again, there are kitchens below us, and if we go up, we can get to a pretty small, shabby place. A lot of spiderwebs too. I don't think they have any maids in Anchorage. From here though, what I want to do is continue along to this castle. So if we come to here, there is a break in the road where we get to this big old statue. This part of the world is called Neverwell Forest, because it's catchy, basically. But if we follow along this road here, through this little farm, we get to yet another crossroads, and if we follow this up, we get to Blackhull. Blackhull is a very kind of secluded place. It's not quite ruined, but there's only like 4 people who live here at best. I think it's realistically like 3. So it's kind of a shabby place. But yeah, you can see that I went for like a really detailed red brick style here with some light gray terracotta mixed in and a little bit of these smooth stone bits to look like where they've had to make repairs. If we come inside though, it is a pretty simple place. Not much going on, but there is a little area for a doggy. And that's basically it for Blackhull. I built this in an afternoon. If we come along here though, we get to Evergreen Castle. This is another pretty secluded place. This used to be kind of the end of my world before a giant city got built. So it's kind of a secluded place, but it's also in the middle, which is, I guess, kind of an oxymoron. But if we come inside here, we can see the big evergreen that Evergreen is named after. Although, to be honest, I put this here after I named it Evergreen. It's named Evergreen for the moss. Because I built this I built this when I started using moss a lot. But this is a pretty small place. I like the style a lot. It's pretty simple. There's like a little granary here. A small defensive tower. And I actually made a video showing off how I built this place. So it's based off of a kind of wooden fort that I built in one of my super flat worlds. But yeah, there really isn't much going on. I guess this is a little bit bigger than Blackhull, but it's about as politically important, which is to say not at all. Okay, if we skip all the way back here, so we just came down this road, but we can come up through here, and there's a little fishing hut here, but if we come around the back, over these skipping stones, and then through the woods again, we can eventually get all the way, where is it? Here we go. We can follow this road, past this farm, all the way up this hill, and get to Seanne Castiel, which is the oldest place in the world, kind of. It wasn't built first, but it's meant to be like super old, so it's all falling down, falling apart. It's currently inhabited by bandits and also, I guess, a pig. But yeah, this is it's really like an old place. I wanted to show one of the fun things about this place is that you see all these holes in the ground, and that's where there used to be wooden posts. So especially around here, you can see that there used to be like a wooden palisade that went all around, and it's now all grown in. But it's a pretty simple place, and in the center here, it's being used by bandits who have stolen a present. There's also a wolf here, and I think I saw a chicken earlier. I want us to loop back around now, so if we follow back along this path and up this hill, we can get to here. Basically, we're going to go this way, but that is Marshcastle, and over there, that bridge is where we started. So we're looping back around. If you keep in mind the map from the beginning, we're basically done our first big loop of the world, and we're now going to go on a little bit further. Well, a lot further, but, you know. Coming through here, though, we can enter into Mostyn. Wen is kind of an old synonym for town or city. So this is Mosstown, basically. After I built Riegensberg, I wanted a kind of a mental break, so I came in here and I started one by one building these little mossy houses. They're mostly pretty generic, but the pièce de résistance is this one. This is an old church, and you can see that there is kind of still the original tiling here, and you can see where the windows used to be. And at the front here, we have a creaking heart, which I know doesn't technically do anything, but it looks creepy. And that's really what I care about. So yeah, Mostyn and Castiel are the really old places in this world. There are some newer ruins, like the Rosewood Port is one of the newer ruins, but this is some place that's been like, it's been gone for like 200 years. On the other hand, we're getting into Summerton now. And Summerton is one of those really new places in the world. You can see that they're still even building part of it. But if we come through here, this is where most of the world gets their wheat from, especially places that don't have their own kind of farming situations. And this is also a place to get horses. So this is a stud farm. This is where we're breeding a lot of the best horses in Tretogor are coming out of this area. There is a small castle here that I'm going to pop very briefly into. I'm realizing now I'm going to have to cut some of that Newport stuff because I took too long on Newport. But yeah, there's a kind of a flowery vibe going on here. It's a pretty nice, chill place to be, especially compared to some place like Mostyn or Evergreen that are kind of falling to bits. I want us to continue up though, and up into Lyon. If we follow this little road though, before too long we'll get into the little village here. So this is Lyon. There are a couple of little houses here, using a lot of tuff and granite and stuff. This is when I started making some pretty weird beds. Some people have issues with my beds, but I like them. So instead of using like real Minecraft beds, which are pretty small, I decided to start using these big old beds that look like you could sleep like 3 people on them, because a big part of my world has always been the idea that a lot of people are all sleeping like in one big heap, because that's just how most people did for most of history. Privacy was less of a concern. But this is it. This is Lyon Castle. Like Blackhull, I built this one in one evening when I was on Discord with my friend Victor. I'll take us briefly inside, but we have, we have a little hall here. It is just plain stone on the inside. And if we come up here, we have a big old bed where everyone is kind of sleeping piled on top of each other. It's a nice kind of friendly vibe, I guess. Over there's a toilet. One of the things you will definitely notice about this world is that the newer the build, the more the toilets. If somebody wants to get in the comments and let me know how many toilets Riegensberg has, I will be very grateful, because I refuse to count them. There are so way too many, frankly, because people have needs, you know. But actually building a world to correspond to human needs in Minecraft is terrible. Coming in here though, there's a little cottage that I built because it was cute and it makes me think of my girlfriend. And that's basically just it. I have nothing else to say. Sometimes it's nice to just put little cute things in your world. This road will take us all the way to Treboar. Treboar is named for the Treboar Trail in Dungeons & Dragons: The Forgotten Realms. My main inspiration for this was Fallout 76 and those little coal mining towns in West Virginia. So basically everyone here is getting paid with a kind of like company scrip, and they can come in here to the general store. I love that this place is full of stuff, but it's all brown. Like, it looks like it's almost entirely gray and brown, but it still looks kind of vibrant and like interesting in there. And that's just wonderful. And there are a couple of little coal mines here. You can see here coal storage. And this, it will take us all the way to Castle Leslie. So a big part of why I wanted to do this world download finally is because I finished Riegensberg, and I didn't get the chance to do one after I finished Castle Leslie. I only do the world downloads after I am happy with everything in the world. So like, there can't be any unfinished builds. There can't be any builds that are like have no roads going to them. I need to update the world map. I need to update the photos on my Planet Minecraft. So I couldn't do it after Castle Leslie, which is a little bit sad, but here we are, finally. You guys can come in here and see this for yourselves, which I'm very happy about. If you guys do join the Discord, I would love to see some pictures in there that you guys take for yourselves. Because obviously, like, all the photography that comes out of this world is my own, and well, hell, I'm no photographer. But Castle Leslie is really cool. I built it all based off of that chair. So the entire place is meant to be viewed from there. So it has this kind of diagonal across the island, and it all builds up to that peak. There are a couple of like barracks and stuff, and if we come in here through the main gate, we can get to the inner castle. I like this place a lot. It's not my favorite castle in the world, but I guess Cargyle Castle is probably my favorite, but that's not in this world. Unfortunately, it's in another one. But if we come in here, we get to the Great Hall. There is a kitchen here with all these hanging pots and pans that I think look really lovely. And up in here, we have a ballroom. So one of the fun things about Castle Leslie is that they keep building more and more of it. And one of the things that they added on to the original structure was they took off this balcony that used to be here on the side of the building. They kind of bricked it up a little bit, and they added in a big old ballroom. And I think it looks really swell. If we take the stairs up, I'll show you the master bedroom. So coming up here, we have a kind of chilling area with a bone for a dog to nibble on. And a small fireplace that took me forever to get right because I was using the debug stick. And then this is the master bedroom. So we have this big old 4-poster bed. I love 4-poster beds. I explained why in the Castle Leslie series, if you're interested on my thoughts on that. But this is where that door was leading earlier. And I will just take us out through a balcony. Like I said, guys, if you're planning on building in creative, always put in a balcony. You will regret it if you don't. But this is the wonderful Castle Leslie. And I think we did 10 episodes on this. What I want to do now, though, is continue down into Tillid. Spoilers, that is for something that I haven't shown off in the world. So this is the first time that's being seen on camera. Tillid is a little pig farming town. I like to build a lot of this world in kind of parallels. So the parallel to Summerton with all of its wheat fields is Dewbury, which has all these vegetable fields, and the parallel to Tillid with its pig farms is Clarendon with its sheep farms. But this is our little town. We have the potion maker, who was using kind of like pig's blood and stuff in his potions. We have the tanner, who is using pig hides for leather. We have the candle maker. So he is making candles out of pig tallow, which you can see here. And we have the butcher, who is butchering the pigs. That's his little butchering area. If you come down here by the river, you can see I made a bunch of little cattails. And we even have a cabbage farm to feed to the pigs. And basically those two are the actual pig farms. If we come up through here, we will get to Greenfield. So Greenfield is one of those big crossroads of the world. Over there we have Summerton. Over there is Dewbury and Castle Stonehart. That's Riegensberg, and that's Castle Leslie. One of the additional places that I built just very recently is this. So there's a little path here through the woods, and if we follow it, we can get to the Blood Brick Cathedral. I've been trying to avoid burnout, so I've been building some weird stuff, and this is one of them. I decided to go for a green to red gradient, and this is what I got out of it, and I'm really happy with it. I think it looks really cool, especially in shaders, of course. If we come in here though, you can see that there are some torches in case you come by here at night. We have these windows, and there's basically a layer of overgrowth here on the floor. So this is all the moss overgrowing, and we have mushrooms growing here to kind of tie in the red bits. At the head here, we have the altar, and basically the path comes through here down the altar and continues across the river through the woods. So that is the Blood Brick Cathedral. If we follow this path just a little ways, we can get to Fort Mostyn. So this is a wooden frontier style fort. So this is a wooden fort that was built by the Castle Stonehart people, and it was taken over by the Castle Leslie people, as you can see by that red and gold banner. So there is basically a little like eating hall here, a collapsed tent. You see this was the kitchen with a big old stove. There were a couple of towers and spaces like this. So this is where they used to store food and where they used to sleep at night. So there's still one bed made, just to show you that these are beds, but those are bunks basically. And somebody left us a present here. So this is the armory. You can see there's an old sword there. But yeah, this is our little build. And there's a path. I won't follow it on the floor because it's super long. But you can see it is winding and winding and winding through here all the way until the Valley of the Cairns. There are a bunch of cairns here in the valley, including this one that's, whoops, hold on. That one that seems to have collapsed in on itself. I was inspired a little bit by the Lord of the Rings here, both by the Barrow Downs and by the cairns outside of Edoras. But here we have the big one, and someone has left us some more presents. But yeah, this is the big kind of Stoneheart cairn. If we fly back through here, I mentioned Dewbury earlier as a place where there were vegetable farms. So zipping right along, this is Dewbury. Normally, you would approach it from this angle. So over there, that was Greenfield, and then we would follow down along and get into Dewbury. This is just a little simple town, and here we have a tavern inspired by White Orchard in The Witcher. So we can come in here. We have the Dewbury dew droplet, and then here is the bar itself with a place to sleep upstairs. Thought those horses were loose. Ordinarily, we would continue on to Castle Stonehart, but like I said, right now I want to go to Riegensberg. So if we skip right along here, along this big open road, we can get to the border post. So if you guys think back to the Sarneville border post, this is that times like 3. It's way bigger. There's even a wall around it. And if I come up here, you can see it says Riegensberg. There's a archery range for target practice and a bunch of flower fields. The Riegensberg video is pretty recent, so I'm not going to go too far into it, but I will give you guys the overview of the city. So we come in here through the big main gate, and we enter at Regan's Square. Over here we have kind of the older part of town, so we have our more classic professions. There's an alchemist, a jeweler, a swordsmith, and an armorer. Coming down to here, we can get to the port district. So this is the old port. You can see it's kind of blocked off now, but this used to just be a place for boats to pull up. And you see it says RGB, Riegensberg Stock Depot. This is where the port is now, the main kind of port for Riegensberg. So coming through here, I'll point out some of the big important buildings. We have a university, a bank. I mentioned the Bank of New Gedym. That is how it looks here. We have a hospital, kind of a town hall area, and we have the Merchants Guild. So we can see those yellow banners coming back. If we skip along into this part of town, we get to the paper mill. So I'll show you, this is Voorhees paper. And this is where they are making basically all the paper in the world. So one of the fun things about having a really big world like Tretogor Province is that you can slowly make everything make sense. If there's coal, it's because there's a coal mine. If there's paper, it's because there's a paper factory. And it's just one of those really fun things I like about building up the world, is that it slowly makes more and more sense how it all fits together. And then this one is a fabric making place. So you can see they have a bunch of sewing machines and stuff. If you think back to Anchorage, Anchorage is really a big point of like difference with this place. So in Anchorage, you saw like all the houses are the same size, all the buildings are the same size, everyone's living kind of poor, even like the rich people, quote unquote. But here there's like a bunch of wealth inequality. So we have like all these mansions, and then we have these little houses. I'll show you how small some of these are. If we can squeeze in. So this is what a lot of the houses in Riegensberg look like. This is what the workers are living in. Then by contrast, if we come across the river here, this is what the nicest place in Riegensberg kind of looks like. So I do want to show you guys one more thing before we get to over there. So I showed you we came in through that part of the city, and there is an exit over there, but there's also this big old drawbridge here. So outside the front here, we have a drawbridge that's about to be let up for this boat, and we have a couple of big old wheat farms. And that's also a horse barn. So if you want to park your horse in Riegensberg, you might want to go there. If we follow this along a little bit, you can see that is Evergeen. So we're starting to loop back around to places we've seen. And that was Castle Blackhull. This place here is Clarendon. So I've expanded this place a little bit since the Clarendon video, but the whole idea with this place is that it's a little town that is based off of a clay model that I have in my basement. So we have all these little houses, and they're basically all being built with the excess stone material of this old ruined tower. So if we come down into here, you can see it's all dark and shady because there's a tree growing. If you guys come around to this side of the building, you can get up here on the vines, and then you can get up here. Whoops. Do a little bit of climbing if you're not too scared of heights, and you can get all the way to the top and get a decent view of Riegensberg. If we follow this river down, we're getting near to the end of this world now. I know we've seen a lot of places. This is a little suburb called Edgewater, and this is the wheat fields, basically. There are some over there, those are newer, and these are the ones that I had originally planned. And if we follow here, we can get to Douglas Ranch. So I built this whole custom forest behind the Van Graff estate. It's meant to be viewed from about here. So this is the ideal one for the tall trees area. I'll show you. So it's a whole custom place, but here we have a custom waterfall made out of glass, and then that flows into the river. If we backtrack, after building this place, I realized that what I really wanted was a big kind of ranch. So this is my Red Dead Redemption era. I dressed as a cowboy for Halloween, in fact, but we built a log cabin. This whole place is kind of based off of the Pronghorn Ranch, I think it's called. at the end of the epilogue. So yeah, there is a little kind of ranch here with a pot-bellied stove. If you come down here, there is corn. Like I said, there are no real New World crops, but this place is the exception because a cowboy farm really felt like it needed to have corn. There is a chicken coop. You can see me slowly giving up on having real mobs in my world because they're super annoying. But then over here we have a couple of horses. That is basically where some of the wheat from Riegensberg goes. Now I want to show you the last final location in this world for this video, and that is Castle Stonehart. So we finally made it. We went all the way around. We even went to Dewbury and we turned our backs on it. But we're finally here at Castle Stonehart, and I think pure silhouette, this has to be like the best castle that I've built. But I'll show you. Basically, if we had gone from Dewbury, we would have come through here, through that gate, down through the Quiet Vale, and all the way here. But this view isn't quite as impressive. So like Marshcastle, there is a castle town out here, but this one is made out of kind of stone fortifications, not like a wooden palisade. There is a chapel. We have a blacksmith who's making some armor. There is a dog kennel, and there is a horse stables with a little target practice place. We can come through the first two towers here, cross the drawbridge, and up into here. So this is the main hall. This is the throne, inspired by the Iron Throne in Game of Thrones and Song of Ice and Fire. Coming up into here, this is the feasting hall. So you can see some more of those mechanical chandeliers, like I mentioned. You can hear that fire crackling below us because those are the kitchens, as always, beneath us. If we come up here, up to the Lord's dais, what I want to show you is this. So this is the Lord's kind of tier. Below us is where the kind of the Lord's daughter and son sleep. So this is a kind of 4-person household. Minus like 60 guards or whatever, but who cares? And if we come into here, we have the bed chamber. So we have this big old 4-poster bed. If we come to here, you can see there's just a little place where you can take a bath. And like I said, Riegensberg has like 300 toilets. This place has none. This place has 0 toilets. So it's just one of those things I've started thinking about a lot more. That and food recently. But that is going to do it for the world tour. If you guys enjoyed, if you wanted to see even 1% more of all the stuff that I've been building here, please subscribe, leave a like. Let me know what you liked in the video, and if you want me to make a specific video on one of the things I showed off, like the Bloodbreak Church, which doesn't have its own video, that is going to do for today, guys. Check out the world download if you like. It'll be in the description, and I will see you guys in the new year. So happy new year.